A comparison between the individual orchids that have been proven has been undertaken by Luke Klein. He's written a marvelous book on orchids that includes information of the proving that we did of the Marsh orchid. And every orchid has its own specific point of resonance within the basic field that is common for all orchids. So I would like to speak about this primarily because it is actually the most interesting thing. There are lots of orchids. They've been around for a very long time. They're well in excess of 20,000 different species. The basic theme for orchid is a plant, a flower that makes a particular an intimate relationship with an insect, and the degree of connection between a specific insect and the specific flower or species of orchid is one of amazingly high codependence. Now you could say that the insect is exploited by the flower in order to pollinate it, and that it receives nothing out of this interaction because it gets no pollen, it gets no nectar. What it gets is a sexual experience. The insect believes that it is having sexual intercourse with the flower that is pretending to be the other sex of the insect. So there's deception and cheating and ultimately you might think some kind of disappointment. But actually this doesn't come out in the proving of Marsh orchid for sure. There must be something in it for the insect, obviously, otherwise it actually wouldn't keep on flying to the flower. The flower is pretending to be the sex object. Is the insect gratified? Well, when you look at the provings, the answer has to be yes. See, one of the best known orchids to us is the orchid of vanilla, that amazing sensuous smell that we add not just chocolate and ice cream and confection generally, but it gets into all sorts of dishes, both sweet and savory. And the feeling is one of sensual delight. So what is sensual delight? It's being turned on to what actually? Maybe it's through the contact and through the skin. Plenty of skin symptoms that arose out of our orchid proving of the Marsh orchid. The boundary between the inside and the outside of you, the individual, is mediated through the skin and the sensory impression. You know, the rubbing, the lovely, sensual skin. Very sexual if you focus it to the sex organs, as the orchid does for the insect, but just generally, this idea of extending your experience from the inside to the outside, which also means from the outside to the inside. It's that idea of the dissolving of the boundary that is very strong in orchid, that can be very sensual. But in the field, the Marsh orchid, particularly strong was the spiritual sense of connection, where the inside dissolves into the outside and gets unified and connected as one. That is key idea in this proving. Of course, it will be useful in those patients for whom that is a desire unfulfilled, like a love unrequited. So the central issue for the person is how to make that kind of connection into the world of experience, the world of sensitivity. It is, after all, a plant, sensitivity being the key idea. And to remember that each orchid, each individual species of orchid, produces a flower that is absolutely specific to one insect and one insect only. And the two have a perfect union and mating for the function of reproduction, the very function of continuing life itself. The other thing that's kind of interesting is that the orchid seed is as provided for as a spore of a fern. It has no cotyledon, no food store. It has to land in a situation which can immediately provide for it. And the way that works is in a relationship that orchid has with fungus. It particularly likes an environment where that mycorrhizal relationship can be established immediately. Immediately, nutrients are there, sugars are there, provided by the fungus. And you know, if any of you have kept orchids, you know how it is. You need to provide an environment in which the root can receive air and the kind of nutrients that fungus would need. And that relationship to fungus is typical of the heathers and heaths as well, and another remedy that we proved actually, which was the Indian pipe. So the idea in these species seems to be around the dissolution of the boundary. Fungus does that too, doesn't it? It dissolves the boundary. So this takes it into a miasmatic relationship with the AIDS nosode and the AIDS phenomenon, the AIDS miasm. So just to say that certainly the Marsh orchid that we proved will fall into that category, the AIDS category. Yeah. Lou Klein's book, if you want to know about orchids, is the one to turn to for lots of information. Of course, Jan Scholten's book, Marvelous Plants, has got Wonderful Plants, has got a section on that as well. Thank you.